So today, I'm going to be talking about this loaner car that we're currently driving. So this is a Mercedes-Benz A220. So it's their A class. And this is coming from somebody who's owned, well, or spent a reasonable amount of time in about 10 different Mercedes. So I've personally owned two GLK 350s, an E350 coupe, an SLC 300, and a GLC 43. I had a GLE 350 as a loaner for a week. I've had this A220 as a loaner for a week. And previously, my parents owned an ML 350 and a CLK 550 and an E350 sedan that I've spent a lot of time in all of those vehicles. So I'll talk a little bit about this, kind of my thoughts on it. If you're looking at it, kind of my opinion, and you can obviously take that with a grain of salt. But I've had experience with a lot of Mercedes vehicles. So this is a 2021 A220. It's obviously a sedan, four-door, and this is a 4MATIC, so it's all-wheel drive. So let's start with the back. It's got a decent-sized trunk. You could probably fit, I don't know, 3 bodies in there, so it's decently roomy. It's not very wide like most Mercedes. It kind of has these captured hinges like all of the other Mercedes that I've had trunks. It does not have a spare tire, which is disappointing. Our SLC does have a spare tire, the GLKs did, the E-Class did, but a lot of brands are going away from spare tires in lieu and going to run flats, and I don't know why. It's really a poor decision, but BMW does it too. So you end up with a crappier performing tire, these Bridgestone run flats. They're preferred over like a Continental, to be perfectly honest with you. I've had a couple of those and they really suck. But you end up with run flat tires and no spare, which has the potential to leave you stranded. The back seat is fairly roomy. It's about as roomy as like a Honda Accord or a Toyota Camry would be. That's the seating position where I'm comfortable driving the car, and I'm 5'10". So I can reasonably sit behind myself, and like I said, I'm 5'10", about 200 pounds. So I'm comfy here. I could sit in for a long trip. I wouldn't want to have 3 people in the back seat unless one of them had no legs. Maybe a toddler perhaps. My 8-year-old could probably sit in here. She's 40 pounds, in between 2 adults and be semi-comfortable. But there's good headroom. Between here and the roof, I've got kind of a whole hand's width. The back seat folds down. It's a 40-20-40 folding seat. So this folds down, this folds down, this folds down separately. My GLC was kind of the same way. It's a nice system. It gives you a lot of options for folding things down and still having passengers in the car. In the back of the vehicle, there are vents on the floor end here. These are closable. And there is a USB-C port here for charging your phone. Other than that, the back is pretty plain. Let's go up to the front. Driver's seat of the vehicle. This is, like I said, is the seating position for me as somebody who's 5'10", an adult, about 200 pounds. This is comfortable for me. I have the seat in the furthest down position, and then I also have the seat kind of back far enough that I'm comfortably like straight-legged with the pedals. I think that the car overall is roomy and comfortable. It's maybe not an E-Class, but it's definitely not bad. So let's talk about, kind of the driving position, the seating and stuff. The seats are really good. There's very limited adjustability. There is no headrest adjustment on the electronic side, but there is a manual headrest adjustment up, down, and you can tip this forward as well. Which is good. I found that Mercedes-Benz really is the only company that makes a headrest that can actually hold your head in a normal seating position. Every other car that I've ever been in, my Honda or my Mazda, my BMWs, like anybody else, and the SLC doesn't do it because the SLC just doesn't have this separate headrest. But this, I can sit here in a normal seating position and I can have my head on the headrest while I'm driving, while I'm seeing the mirrors, while everything is there in a normal position. I can actually take this back slightly. and be, you know, really comfortable. So, you know, that's definitely good. Looking at the car, you know, it is a little bit like a discotheque in here. There's like purple and blue lighting. You can change this lighting however you see fit. So if you go here to lights, this is a touch screen here, or you can use this kind of a trackpad, like a mouse pad here, to adjust it. So we can go to ambient lighting, we can go to color, we can pick between some custom colors that they already have set, like this red moon or this ocean blue. I actually like the ocean blue, or I think it was that, no, glacier blue. That's the one that I like. It's a nice, like a calm color. Jessica likes the purple, which is why we have it in the purple, because, you know, that's just what you do. Both seats, driver and passenger, have 3 memory positions, so memory 1, 2, and 3. So you can, you know, move your seat to your position. This moves the seat and the mirror simultaneously. It does not move the steering wheel. This does not have a power steering wheel. My C-Class and my E-Classes all have. So, you know, if you want the steering wheel to be tied to memory position, you need to get higher than an A-Class, or maybe it's an option in this. I honestly don't know. This does have normal features, like it has home link, it has a sunroof. The sunroof is actually pretty big. It's got this nice, you know, kind of cover there, which is fairly large. There is, you know, the SOS button like every other Mercedes has for roadside assistance. I think the inside looks good. It's kind of strange, like an Audi S3 is kind of weird as well. It's got these kind of round vents. There's 3 of them. I don't know why there's 3. It's like there's a driver and a passenger. There isn't 3 people, but I guess you could steal 2 of them for 1 person. They do open and close by twisting the entire vent like this, so there is no separate knob, which is kind of nice. You know, and you of course have adjustability for your all of your comfort control or climate control settings are here, different temperatures, speeds, etc. One thing that's kind of cool about Mercedes is you just kind of toggle on what you want, so you can have everything, all vents coming out at the same time, the feet and the top and the middle. A lot of brands you can't do that, so that is kind of nice. This does have heated seats. The heated seats are here on the door. It has automatic headlights. The headlights are LED, and they are, you know, automatic. They come on automatically and shut off automatically. It does have automatic wipers as well. Those work very well. Every Mercedes I've ever had with automatic wipers, I've never really had a problem. Every once in a while, you'll get a big bug splatter kind of up behind this mirror here where the sensor is, and they might try to clean that off a little aggressively, but other than that, they work really, really well. The sound system isn't bad. It does have CarPlay, so this, you know, this is a big touchscreen here in the middle. There's different apps. So you've got like your info screen, which tells you some stuff about the car. You know, your engine speed, torque. Like, it's got some kind of cool graphs and stuff. Here's consumption for your, you know, your fuel consumption. If the screen will load, there we go. So this would be fuel consumption over your trip. Right now I'm just idling in the garage, obviously. There is an owner's manual for operating the car here as well. We can, comfort is going to give us our climate control stuff that we already looked at. Radio is just your normal radio. Phone would be my phone. And then, you know, media for CarPlay. So CarPlay is normal. It comes up on the screen. It's a touch screen, so it's very easy to operate. It does look a little weird because this is like a nice wide screen, and when you plug CarPlay in, it kind of truncates it to fit the CarPlay screen, so that's a little weird. It's like the screen is wider than CarPlay is capable of running. The connector is USB-C, which means it charges your phone really, really fast. You can use this nice like a USB-C to lightning cable from Anchor. It'll charge your phone nice and quickly. And then there are, you know, there's buttons here, so you can kind of operate this in a multitude of ways. You can, you know, treat this like it's a trackpad and kind of bounce back and forth, or you can touchscreen it. The gauge cluster is pretty trick. So if you look at the steering wheel, you'll see your normal, like all your cruise control stuff is here, on, off, setting, resume and cancel cruise control. And then over here is kind of all of your audio controls. So answer the phone, hang up the phone, volume up and down. You push in on this for mute, which is always kind of nice. It actually, if you're listening to like a podcast or a song on your iPhone, it'll pause the music rather than mute. And then there's also voice here, so you can talk to the Mercedes. Hey Mercedes, it'll pick up on you. Let's see, how may I help you? You can also press and hold this button and it'll activate Siri. So if you want to use Siri and you want to actually send a voice command to your phone, you can do that as well. But these buttons are kind of interesting. So the top three here on the right side control this screen, and the top three here control this screen. So this, this is your home, this is your left and right, and this does all the same stuff as the trackpad. So I can go to the info screen, I can tap it, I can go in, I can back, and it works really well. So you don't have to take your hand off the steering wheel, and you can access all radio functions, and that includes CarPlay. So that's pretty cool. On this side, this one's even more neat. If you press the home button, you'll see this comes up, and you can say, I want trip meter, navigation, phone. So you're really deciding like what's in the center of my screen. Do I care about media? Do I care about service? Do I care about trip, navigation, whatever? So let's do trip. So we've got like our normal from starts, our acceleration, fuel consumption, speed, trip meter, etc. But you can also adjust these gauges here and here and show what they say. So what you want to do is you take this square here in the middle, and you see how I like highlighted that left wheel or the middle or the right wheel with the blue circle? So let's highlight the left wheel, and we're going to go up on that. I just switched my speedometer to USB. Now it shows my route schedule. Now it shows my consumption from reset. Now it shows my consumption from start. And then here's a clock. And then I'm back to my speedometer. And similarly, I can go over to this wheel where my RPM gauge is, and I can make that show. This is like a driving assistance that'll show blind spot monitors. Here is a globe, and I believe that that's for your navigation, so your navigation functions would show up there. There's an eco display. There's consumption. And here is your RPM gauge again. So for somebody, like Jessica, who doesn't really care about the RPM gauge, she likes this consumption thing. And she can use the digital mile per hour in the middle, because that's, easier to read. It doesn't have a heads-up display. And then over here on the left, you can do something like, I want to have the clock, or I want to have a, whatever. So you can kind of customize the dash, which is pretty neat, and a lot of the new Mercedes have this. The GLE that we had was the same exact way. So I think that that's pretty cool. It's a new feature, this new Mercedes-Benz infotainment system. I've had a lot of cars that have the old command system with the dial in the middle, and that works really, really well. That dial was actually really intuitive. It worked great, but they've kind of outgrown it. CarPlay has gotten a lot better. Android Auto's gotten a lot better. So really, a car that has navigation now is kind of obsolete. So that's really it for the interior. Tap the button once to shut it off. Open the door up. One thing that I've always really liked about Mercedes is the way that their keyless go operates. You tap the button to start the car. You tap the button to shut the car off. When you get out of the car, you can tap any handle to lock it. Any handle. Honda, take a note. BMW, take a note. You can do it on any handle on a Mercedes. You should be able to. So when the reality is, when you walk up to this car, hey, so I go get my kid from school. Hey, little kid, let's go in the car. We walk up and I go and grab this door. It should open because there's a key in my pocket, just like that. But on my Honda, it does not. On our BMW, it does not. I have to walk up to this door, pull that to unlock it, shut the door, and then open this one up to let the kid in. That's stupid. Or I have to pull the key out of my pocket and press a button on the key. What is this, 1996? So that is a reality. Like, that is something that should happen. To lock the car, you tap any handle, and it does that. This does fold the mirrors in when it's locked, which is something that even some C classes don't do. So that's a nice feature. I like the folding in of the mirrors. It makes it easier for people to not tap your mirrors when they're trying to walk past your car in a busy parking lot. Overall, I think the car looks good. It's not quite as defined as a C class would be, or an E class where it's got kind of a more aggressive front. But it does have like the parking sensors and different things in the bumper, and the LED lights look good. There are projectors and the high beam, low beam assemblies. They work well. There's very good visibility. I think overall it's a nice car. I think that it's an interesting position. It's a cheap Mercedes, right? So this is like if you can afford an Accord, you could be driving a Mercedes. You know, this is the kind of car that you lease for the same price that you would pay to lease a Honda Accord or a Toyota Camry or a Nissan Altima or something like that. You know, so it could be a good, you know, maybe you're looking for something that's like a really nice car for your kid. And I don't necessarily agree with buying your kid a Mercedes as their first car, but you know, this is like a really viable alternative to something like an Accord or a Camry. And I will say, you know, a lot of people talk about Germany and the expense of repairing their cars and kind of the reliability stuff. I have owned personally 5 Mercedes, and my parents owned an additional 3 while I was growing up. And literally none of them broke down. None. 0. The first time that I've been without a car for longer than the length of time it takes to do an oil change is this thing with this SLC with the seat stuck forward. So, you know, really, like, they have been rock solid reliable to the point where when I bought my last one, I didn't even want to buy the extended warranty on it because it's like I haven't had any problems. They've been fantastic. So really, I don't think that it makes... I don't think it's this. It's the worry that we used to have, you know, with a Mercedes, where it's like crazy expensive to maintain and all of this stuff. Yes, their oil changes are expensive. It's like a $200 oil change. Most dealerships do coupons on a regular basis. You can regularly get an oil change done at my dealership for $149. Yes, I realize that's more expensive than your average Honda, but also this takes a lot more oil and it gets done once a year. So, you know, reasonably, you're not doing it as often. And also, it's higher quality components and there's more of it. So it makes sense from a consumption standpoint. This thing performs pretty well. I mean, it's not a race car. It does 0 to 60 in probably 6 seconds, 6.5 seconds, something like that. It's fine. It drives well. It's comfortable. It accelerates through traffic without an issue. You know, it doesn't really have any get up and go when you get above, say, 90 miles an hour because it's a 4-cylinder turbo, and it's kind of screaming at that point. But, you know, for normal, like, riding through traffic, passing, stuff like that, it's really good. The gas mileage is really good. It's easily in the 30s. You know, so it runs good. Really not unhappy with it. It's not the SLC 300. She wants her car back. But at the same point, you know, it's nice to not be without a car. You know, so if you're looking for a base level Mercedes or an entry point into the Mercedes line, it's not a bad one. It probably doesn't take much more than this to get into like a C300, and I think the C300 is a significantly better car. It has more features. It's got a little bit more room, a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more classy design. And it's also, the 300 is a little bit more powerful than the 220, which can feel a little underpowered at times. But, you know, from a power perspective, Jessica doesn't complain about driving this car. It's fine. You can merge onto the highway safely, and it's not like driving a base model Civic or something like that. So that's it. You know, thank you for watching, and hopefully you'll have a nice day.